G'day guys, Matty Extreme Auto Caravan and Camping with you again on another big off-grid setup. This one is in a humpback. Now if you guys don't know what these caravans are or have very little understanding of these custom built vans here in Adelaide, they're a very heavy duty off-road van, and this one's one of those built like on another level. Everything's out of checker plate, like mild steel checker plate. These things are heavy and they're a great off-road van. If you lay underneath and you see the construction in the RHS and all the welding and all the subframe and all the research that goes into it, they used to do a good job. They stopped building them a while back, I believe, so quote me if I'm wrong, but old mate passed away a few years back. I think he done just north of Adelaide. They used to be custom made, the humpback. So if you guys have seen those caravans around with the hump on the back, the humpback, that's them. And this one's a scrubber. So it's a single axle thing, and the system that we've put in this allows these guys to run their air conditioner and their microwave all off grid. These guys hit us up a while back for a big setup, and we've designed it for them. Now, the rundown on this previous setup was it only had like 300 amp hours of AGM batteries, monster, like beefy full river, like 45, 50 kilos each, the 150 amp hour AGMs. And me and Riley struggled pulling them out the front. It was crazy. They were super heavy. And so that's like, 100 kilos that's been removed from this. And the photo was of the previous setup on the roof. I don't think I've ever seen a do-it-yourselfer. Someone's come along on this van and decided to add their own things, okay? And the mixed bag of solar that was on the roof was causing no end of issues. And if you look at the photos, you'll see the burnt, melted wires that we came across. Completely inadequate cabling, just done wrong. There were 4 different types of panels on the roof in the form of fold out mounted and 2 separate panels. So I think there was like a 150 watt panel at the rear on the hump. Then there was this cheeky 100 watt panel. Then there was a fold out old polycrystalline panel, like, a fold up panel that they've mounted brackets to. So he's dehinged it, taken all the brackets and straps off it and mounted it to the roof. And then there was another fold out panel on the other side, same deal. He's just kind of taken the hinges off, drilled all the pot rivets off, and just, stuck them to the roof. And, oh, God, it took forever to rip them off. But anyway, we've been able to get them off. It took us the whole day to get the solar sorted, just the solar guys. So normally half to 3/4 of a day to the solar. This is a full day just to get the solar sorted out. So we've now got 4 180 watt exotronic panels. So 1 at the rear, 1 in front of it, and then one either side of the air conditioner. So 2 in series, and then we bring them down in parallel. And then we've managed to squeeze another 200 watt exotronic panels up the front. So what's that? 720, 920 watts, guys, on this off-grid setup. 920 watts on the roof. 300 amp hours of PowerPool lithium batteries. These are the Scouts. They're actually testing at 314 amp hours at the moment. So 628 amp hours here. That's well over 7.5, almost 8 kilowatt hours of storage for these guys to go off-grid and camping with. Victron multiplus inverter charger running on all the factory outlets. Now this had an inverter on it, so we've fired up the existing system. It was a simple plug and play setup. So all of his infrastructure, nothing gets changed. So his GPO that runs his microwave, the air conditioner, as you can hear, the ones near his TV, the ones in the kitchen, the ones outside, the ones under his bed. All of those power outlets are now able to be run all from this inverter and this battery system just at the touch of a button. So the 920 watts of solar is being taken care of by the Victron charge controllers, the smart charge controllers here, which are networked to form a uniform combined charge. This synchronized, so they will work with each other. So if one solar controller is getting all the sun and putting the charge in, the other will help it. It won't shut each other down. They work in unison. That's why they're networked together. So the whole 920 odd watts is split over the 2 charge controllers. We've got a 100/4/30 and a 100/4/50 here, taking care of all of the solar. DC charging is taken care of by the Orion, which you can see here. So the Orion Bluetooth setup is all done as well. You can't actually network these yet. I think in the next couple of models you'll be able to network these to the system, but as they are, it's just a standalone system, which is like I do when I do the Red Arcs or an Enerdrive or any other equivalent brand. The DC charger is still measured through the shunt and monitored up on the screen. So when old mate plugs his Anderson plug in from his cruiser, he'll see 30 odd amps come in, 360, 400 watts on top of his 920 watts of solar. So that's combined vehicle and solar charging. It doesn't prioritize one or the other. It'll use both if these batteries require it. Or if there is a heavy load running like an air conditioner or something else running, it'll use what it can to fast charge these batteries. The mains charger is taken care of by the multiplus, and it is a 120 amp charger, and we have programmed it for that and set it up with our lithium profile, which we've got our own special settings for the Dali BMSs in these batteries and the Victron Multi. As with all of these settings that we use in these, they're all tweaked for the job, based on the job, which is why we do the rundowns, test all the products as we're doing them. All the LMI fuses down here, these are high rated MIDI fuse, so we've got them there with the LMI entry. So 4 of them down there, all nice and neatly tucked away. There's the Victron Smart Shunt, Victron Serbo, and the Touch 50 up here. Now, there's not really a lot of places funny enough to fit the touchscreen in this. We've got a vanity kind of unit over here, so there's no backing onto the wall. So old mate wanted it on the door with a hinge, so we've put a little kind of cable hinge behind it, and he's able to lift up the door, still use it as storage, and the touchscreen's right in front of his face. And because it's backlit with a timer, the touchscreen turns off. To wake it up, you just touch it. All right, very easy. It's not a light that's going to lighten up your van at night and turn it into a disco. I mean, I'm forever seeing people cut off black electrical tape to hide up their little USB lights and little blue lights in their van. They do it all the time. I do it. Even something like the air conditioner. People will put stuff over it. That was the Ibis kicking in just then. If you didn't hear that, it's an old Ibis on this. All right, so this is a it's not even Ibis 3, it's the original Ibis Air Command. They're not energy efficient by all means. 80 to 110 amps an hour. It's like I'm running on a heat and it's pulling 1300 odd watts. So that's crazy. But we're at temperature, we're doing it. You can run it, you can manage your energy. So off-grid heating and cooling, all from batteries. Totally cool. So I'll take you upstairs. We'll look at this little touchscreen, and I do encourage you to have a look at the photos, which I will put at the end of this clip, of what it looked like before. So there was like this solar controller there that had parallel strings, but the cable had gotten so hot because I did notice what old mate or whoever's done it, the PV feed from the roof into the solar controller, they've stripped the cable back by about 12 mil, to expose the copper as you do. Instead of just putting it in there into the base of the solar controller and doing up the terminal, old mate's got the soldering iron out and put solder on it. The problem with that is you don't create enough contact surface area for the current to get through. So what happens is you've got a soldered wire. As you crush down the terminal, it doesn't make full contact, and because it doesn't make full contact, you create heat, and heat melts cables, and that's exactly what happened in this setup. It just melted it to the shit. And obviously on the battery side coming out of it, the same deal. He thought, I'll just put a bit of solder on it, to keep the cable together rather than splay out. And it has the reversed effect. So even, Victron will state, do you use ferrules? Do you not use ferrules? Yeah, you definitely don't solder. We've got a little bit of a rule with ferrules. All right, anything sort of high current, like silly high current, maybe more than 30 amps, we won't use them. What we find is as long as you can crush them, that's fine, and they've got a bit of play. But if you notice as you start to do down your terminal and it's like really stiff to begin with and it doesn't want to crush, take the ferrule out, go straight copper. And like I keep saying in many of my other videos, the less connections you've got, the less things you have in your line, the better it is. That goes true for ferrules. If you don't use them, if you don't need them. So when we do one like this, we won't use the ferrules on the battery side because we've got high current, okay, 30 and 50 potential to come through this. So we run, You've got 16mm cable or 13.5mm cable, depending on what you're doing, straight into the solar controller, directly in. Same with the DC charger, straight in. No ferrule on them. It's debatable. It's all to do with how you screw it down. And we're talking about vibrations here, guys. Look, you're going to get 100 people that don't have a problem, but for us and for the way my mind works is as long as I can see every strand of copper go into the base of this solar controller, then I know that as I do it up, I can feel it crush down and I know it's in there. We P-clamp below it, so our cables are actually held in there quite tight. They're not just hanging where they can be, pulled out and do what it's done. Yeah, that's just my preference. We're all going to do it differently. Do whatever works. That's just a personal preference. So I'll take you up here. Let's check out the Touch 50, and I'll show you what this original IBIS draws. All right, guys, got the original IBIS going here, as you can see, on 22. Now, cold day in Adelaide, big rain storm has come, and the sun is very low. Where is it? Yeah, the sun's like over there, so the front panels aren't even getting any sun at the moment. So we're getting 200 watts of solar for a potential 920, but it is what it is. This is the touch interface up here. Now, this looked horrible before. We've done a composite aluminium panel up here for old mate, so we were able to mount his original fuse box nice and neat here. Riley's done a great job and done labels on the things that we know are things, like we've got a fridge circuit there, we worked that out. He's got a compressor fridge in his. And we've done, I can't remember what it is. What is it? Screen. Oh, because we've got the screen power from it. So our Touch 50 gets its power from the factory fuse box, and it's all labeled. So we're able to utilize some factory stuff, and that's the idea of the system. When it is an overlay system, we can utilize specific factory stuff. Not all the time, but we like to do it. So all nice and neat, tucked away. All the books are in there, all ready for him. And there we go. Now see how it's turned off? Bit of glare. But you just touch it. Look at that. Wakes straight up. So I'm not going to shut it down now because we've got the IBIS running, but I will crank it, right, because we're only on 22. I will crank it so you can see what this thing pulls. We'll go up to like 30. And I'll flick around. You watch what this draws. You can see it's a beast. This is on heat. So if you look at what it's actually taking from the batteries, we're only getting a couple hundred watts, not even that, it's only 180, the sun's disappeared again. So there's only, look what we're taking from the batteries, guys. So 1200 odd watts. Yes, the fridge is running, I can hear the compressor going. Look, you might as well call it 100, and that's what I keep saying. The original IBISes are not efficient, all right? Your Truma Aventers, your Harrier lights, your IBIS 4, your Harrier Plus, the inverter style air conditioners are quite efficient. See, so that's that timer for these guys. You just touch it to wake it up. Very easy. So we're inverting right now. You can see there, inverter's on. There's our AC load. You can see where the energy is moving around here. So that shows you where the energy is going, where it's coming from, and what's happening at this moment. Very easy. This will light up with the Shaw when he plugs his 15 amp extension lead in. That will light up and obviously start running the loads and charging the battery. But we're pulling 100 amps, guys. It's crazy. There is nearly 8 kilowatt hours of storage in this. So as it stands, I could run this air conditioner right now with that load, but obviously it's going to cut out because the thermostat's going to kick in and out. I could run it for 8 to 10 hours quite easily. It'll actually run a lot longer. That would be more likely 12 to 14 hours because you're not going to run this at 25, 26. Even if you did, you can still do it, guys. I've been running this right now for just on an hour, and I've used 7% of the battery capacity. 7%. So even though it draws a lot of energy, I'm still able to run this from my battery setup, from old mate's battery setup. It's not mine, I fitted it, we fitted it, for a long time. So don't think that, if you've got an older style air conditioner that's not doable, no, that's wrong. It's still doable, it's just not as efficient. So that's why you've got the opportunity to change things in time. And hey, there's already a hole in the roof from this air conditioner. 360 by 360 cutout generally. And that's pretty standard for most of your air conditioners. So in other words, it's not an expensive endeavor to swap this out as time goes on for something more efficient, should you decide to do so. Hey, but if you don't, just manage your energy. You can, look, if they're running this in summer, you're going to see a lot more solar come in. So that number is going to be offset by quite a bit. It might only be pulling maybe 20 or 30 an hour, going full hog in full sun. I mean, in 3 hours, you've taken 100 amp hours from the 600. Doesn't really matter, does it? My point being is you've got a monitor and you live by it. Don't set it and forget it and walk away. Specifically when you're running something like heavy like this, manage your energy, run things and know things, know what they draw. Once you know what they draw, you're able to run things for however, as long as you want. It's almost like a water tank gauge. You're not going to turn a tap on and have, 2-hour showers when we're off grid. No, we're going to be very frugal. We're going to be very tidy with the amount of water we use. The same goes for a battery bank, guys. The difference is you can fill it back up with your vehicle and the sun. It's easy. When it rains, you can capture water or you fill up your water tanks and you live within your means. So this whole new off-grid setting for people that are not doing it as often as other people have done in the past, it's a learning curve for them. And the battery monitoring system like this just allows ease of use. So you're not guessing and, how many volts I got and what this. No, you live in the world of percentage. If it says 100%, you're full. If it says 50, you're half. There's no rocket science behind it, guys. It's all in front of you. Turn the microwave on. It's an old beast, this thing, but we'll go. Yeah, she's a beast. Woo! So that'll be about 2,500 watts. But hey, I'm running from batteries and running an air conditioner, an old Ibis from batteries, and got this old Sanyo microwave going. It says 800 watts, but you got to remember for microwaves, it's generally twice that what it actually pulls running. So if you got a microwave that says 800, you're probably more likely 1,500 thereabouts from the actual batteries. By the time you go through an inverter with the conversion, so that's the cooking power on the side of the microwave, just so you guys know. What have we done on this as well? So we've just done a done a USB for old mate. You wanted a white USB. He had this. Someone's run a cord all the way around this, and it was like on another level. We've pretty much gutted it and just made it so much more neater than what it was. And I encourage you to look at the photos, which will come up soon. There we go. He's gained his boot. That's right. See, he had the storage he had down here, which is where your wine glass table is. He could never really get to easily, unlike your bed or your front boot, because it's just quick access. See, he had his anti-flaps, his Aussie Travelers in there. Well, obviously, you can't do that anymore. We've got batteries in there, but they can now live in his front boot because he doesn't have his batteries in there anymore. So he couldn't lay anything along, his front boot space that was long at all. Now he can, quite easily. So really, he's happy because he's actually gained some storage now because he could never really get to this anyway. So there you go, guys. I'm going to leave now. It's starting to rain again. It's one of those days in Adelaide. Just my luck, always the way. But like and subscribe, guys. I keep doing these videos on these cheeky off-grid jobs when I've got the time to do it, just to give you information of what can and can't be done. I mean, this is an older van. This would be sort of, 2010 model, maybe 09. You can do this on any older van. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're probably like, well, hang on. That's a lot of money to invest on an old van. If you're happy with your van and you know it through and through, and you've ironed out all of the kinks and you've ironed out all the bumps and you're not forever taking it back to the dealership to get something fixed, you become very used to it. You've got things in their place. And if you're happy with it, you stick with it. You make it better. Just remember, you can remove this, guys. The batteries come out. The inverter charger comes out. Obviously, the solar controllers would remain. You reprogram the put to suit, a couple of AGMs. But this can be fitted to any van, any motorhome, any RV. You've seen them all. So, there's $5-6 grand worth of stuff there. Pull it out, fit it in your new van. So it's an investment, okay? It'll get you to where you want to go. You don't have to worry about power ever again. You are now able to take this with you and fit to your new van. If you write this van off, touch wood, if you, a hailstorm and it just destroys the thing and it bends it and twists it, whatever, you can pull it out. You can reprogram the charge controls to suit the new battery system and away you go. Happy days. Or pull the whole lot out. Either way, it's completely reversible. Happy days, guys. Enjoy that one. Take care. I'll see you next time.